welcome to Jenny's English class. How are you? This is the way I greet my students in class. I did it to lower my tension. Good afternoon, everyone. Are you having fun in GETA conference here? I'm honored to meet very competent English teachers here in GETA. I hope you guys are having fun like I am. And now we are at the very start of today's long journey of conference. Thank you for spending your precious time, even in this valuable weekend, for my presentation. Now I'd like to tell you how I improve my students' literacy after reducing learning inequality through the task I called RISE, Reading Initiative for Student Excellence. My contents is like this: background setting and course overview, reading and writing activity, and results and implication. Do you know his name? Yes, his name is Michael Sandel. What kind of book did he write? He wrote the best-selling Justice and Tyranny of Merit. The world-renowned philosopher and author of Michael Sandel explores the central question of our time. Do you know what it is? The question is, what has become of the common good? We live in an age of winners and losers, where the odds are stacked in favor of fortunate. He argues that to overcome the crisis, we must rethink the attitudes toward success and failure. This attitude has accompanied globalization and inequality, which is a key concept in my project. He shows the hubris of meritocracy. Have you heard about meritocracy before? Meritocracy is not an alternative to inequality. If you think about it, it's justification for inequality. Also, he offers an alternative way of thinking about success, more attentive to the role of luck in human affairs. And he puts more focus on an ethic of humility and solidarity. The tyranny of merit points us toward a hopeful vision of the common good. After reading this book, I realized that COVID-19, which has been sweeping the globe, has generated learning inequality. Across the globe, students have been away from school and their teachers. So during a time of lockdown, what happened to literacy education for students? Especially my students who are living in the countryside of Korea were definitely deprived of parental involvement with education, socioeconomic differences in information and communication technology access, and also parents' ability to help with homework. So I reorganized my class for reducing inequality in an era of post-COVID-19. To design a year-long class, I had to think about giving my students, third graders in high school, enough authentic materials from increasing literacy achievement to building community. Well, I thought that students need an ability to develop excellence through reading initiative, not for themselves, but for the whole world and society. To construct my class, I read a book called Literacy Essentials by Roger Ruhlman. Here she showed us 3 literacy essentials. Can you guess what they are? Well, she says, Engagement, excellence, and equity are 3 literacy essentials. In addition, she says, reading aloud is an indispensable first step in reading and teaching students. She said, reading aloud slows us down and relaxes us. Being read puts us in the frame of mind for learning and increases literacy achievement. Yet, as students age, they are less likely to be read to at school and at home. To incorporate read aloud into my class, I set up a guide of 3 P's: priority, purpose, and process. For priority, reading initiative for student excellence. That's the task I called RISE. And for the purpose, students should read for fun, not for their homework. For the process, read aloud followed by writing and speaking. A classroom read aloud involves one person, often a teacher, reading and pausing minimally to clarify a tricky term, make a connection, or ask questions related to a big idea. But I had a problem that my student didn't have a skill to have a dynamic conversation. So I developed Read Aloud Planning Guide that incorporated this Bloom's taxonomy and web steps of knowledge. In a revision of Bloom's taxonomy, he underscores dynamism using verbs and gerund, and action words describes a cognitive process. And from the stage from remember to understand, to apply, to analyze, to evaluate, to create. In this create stage, generating, planning, producing can happen. Like you see, the top cognitive stage is creating, which can be done by collaboration and group work. So I plan to have read aloud as a group work. In web steps of knowledge, there are 4 levels. The first level is acquired knowledge, and the second level is knowledge application. And third level is analysis, and fourth level is augmentation. In this level, extended thinking is happening, and this requires going beyond the standard learning and asking, how else can the learning be used in real-world context? In web steps of knowledge, there are 4 levels, and our final goal is to let our students have extended thinking. In the 4th level, there are many questions that we can ask, like what is the impact? What is the influence? What is the relationship? What if? What is happening? What could happen? Something like that. Through studying these 2 methods, I could fine-tune the type of questions I can ask. In the middle of reading aloud, if we stop and say, who remembers where the mother is going? That's what we are prepping students to talk about. But if we stop and say, why do we think the mother had that look on her face? Then we are prepping students to have a different type of conversation. This kind of higher order thinking can be possible during a read aloud. At first, I started from easy but touching picture book because most of my students had a low intermediate level. Let's take a look how I use read aloud in my class.
Hello everybody. I will read this book, Love You Forever, this time with Read Aloud. A mother held her new baby, and very slowly rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, "I love you forever. I like you always. As long as I'm living, my baby will be."
Like you watched the screen, I read aloud in front of my students with a picture book. Sometimes I use Regalia and sing a song to help them understand. And then I let them also read aloud with any books they want to read. They are asked to videotape their read aloud and upload it on the Google Classroom and share it with classmates together. Let's see how this was performed.
Are you ready? Let's go. The first picture happened on the day when Skip Seaton was 2 years old. Mom Seaton came to the back door to eat for dinner. He lost the Mama Seaton was puzzled. From the kitchen window, she had been watching him play. She stepped into the backyard and called again. No one came. Mama Seaton was worried. And that's when it happened. Without even thinking about it, Mama Seaton puckered her lips and whistled. It was not a loud whistle or a fancy whistle, just a simple two-note whistle.
Like this, students are asked to put Korean subtitle at the bottom for other classmates. And then another student's work.
Maternal said, "Oh, come on. You can have any until they come again." Surprised at her Dora's answer, Mom sang, "My daughter has it for 5 hours today. My daughter has it for 5 hours today." Thank you.
I played the video in the classroom and the students listened to it very comfortably thanks to her song. And some students put some background music like this.
He looked onward at all those strange hospital things. I wonder what is in that little
Some students put some background music to make read aloud more attractive and fun.
Then he felt as if he were blind. Then the ring sensors danced before his eyes. Then everything went dark.
After reading aloud, I let my students write 2 kinds of writing activity. The first is to keep the reading log. They are asked to draw one of the favorite scenes of the book they read aloud, and then they write down some explanations as well as the story's plot. And this is the work they have made. This is the reading log. One of the 3rd graders, male students, read important book, and he wrote down like this. The most touching part is here. Let me read it for you. At the same time as we are born, we hold our mother's hand and form a family bond. And in life, you get to know love by holding the hands of your family or lover. Also, even at the moment of death, they end up holding the hands of their loved one. Isn't it touching? This writing activity is performed with the reading log that I give them in the first period. And through this reading log, I could understand which value in life he focuses on. And this is the third grader's female student's work. After reading aloud with Fly Away Home, she drew the birds egret she watched on the way to Art Academy. Let me read it for you. I want to feel free more these days. I have to study in the school. I have to study in the academy. And I have to study in Korea now because of pandemic. I look at the birds a lot these days because I want to fly and go to like the birds. Sometimes I feel like that. Isn't it so touching? Sometimes I felt pathetic to my third grader students. And after writing class, I asked my student to upload the picture and the writing on the Padlet. I will show you how I take advantage of Padlet in my class. This is the Padlet I used in my class, and if you look at it, every other class has their work as I read aloud. This is my own home class work, and they wrote down their picture and their writing. And if you look at this another class Padlet, you can see one of my students' work. If you look at this Hong Seok-hoon's work, you can see Saving the Ocean, written by Carrie Sung-han. And he wrote down like this. This is the scene where oil is leaking into the sea. Okay, you have to guess what this picture is about though. And after reading this book, I learned about the seriousness of sea pollution and also know that the problem has not been solved for over 10 years. The same problem has been raised for more than a decade, but no one has come up with a clear solution. I think that we have to start with small things, which an individual can do to solve this huge problem. After he read aloud, he expressed he could raise the awareness of global citizenship. The second writing activity was to write a haiku poem. I taught haiku poem in 3 periods. At first period, we went out to feel the nature. Students were easily feeling nature and expressive freely outside of the classroom. And some of them described nature with a haiku. Others described love and friendship, etc. This is the haiku poem my students wrote down. Please look at this haiku. He chose the verb as wet when he describes how the sun rises. It was very touching. The title of the haiku was Sun Can Wet World. It was very touching. This is the haiku poem my students have made. Oh yeah, is she beautiful? Yes, it's me. Ha ha ha. I'm sorry. One of my students were drawing me like this and wrote down the haiku poem about me. And after 2 kinds of activity, I asked teachers to put some stickers to the best work. Students could feel proud of themselves thanks to the stickers they were given. Also, students have a chance to look around as a peer evaluation. And one of the students is explaining the translation to other students now. After two kinds activity, and I realized a lot. And as I want to conclude, and as my presentation with this poem of Maya Angelou. Do you know her? She's an American poet and civil rights activist. One of her famous poems is Still I Rise. You may shoot me with your words, you may calm me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like there, I will rise. Teaching has never been more complex, but like Maya Angelou's rises, we have to rise. If we rise, students can rise too. We can make a change. We are educators, so we are born to make a change. What is your life like as an English teacher in the post-era of COVID-19? What I did was to focus on literacy skills, reducing learning inequality through Read Aloud. Read Aloud empowers all learners to thrive as self-directed readers, writers, thinkers, and responsible citizens. Why don't you be a partner with me along the way to improve our students' literacy ability with the product I called RISE, Reading Initiative Student Excellent. Hope you'll good luck with your teaching in the upcoming semester. Thank you for listening my presentation. Mahalo.
멋집니다.
아닙니다.
어떻게 이렇게 짧은 기간에 부탁을 드렸는데 준비를 잘해주셔서